Hello, my name is Carsten Friberg. I'm the Executive Director of IPHA. I would like to welcome all to this IPHA webinar. It's the fourth in our series of webinars. In the webinars, we invite 3 of our member companies to present a company webinar of 15 to 20 minutes duration, showing innovations and developments which could be of interest to our members. In this webinar, I'm very happy to welcome Prensoland, Trimble and Combilift. I hope that you will find it interesting and useful to see the presentations which now follow. I will now leave it to IPHA's webmaster Tom Gusi to conduct this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carsten, and good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I can see Suzanne. Good morning. You've popped a comment in there. Hope everybody's well. As Carsten said, just a quick word from me, really. Those of you who've joined us before, you'll know what I'm going to say, but for anyone who hasn't, just a couple of things. We're going to have about 20 minutes for each presentation. There may be time for questions at the end. So if you do have any questions, you can type them into the questions tab in your control panel on the right hand side. If we're running behind our schedule and there's not time for questions, don't worry. I will pass out the contact details of our presenters for today so that you can get in touch with them directly if you wish. The recording of the webinar will also be made available via the IPHA website after the event. So you know, please do share that with any colleagues who weren't able to attend today for the live event. So that's it really from me, which leaves me with nothing more to do other than introduce our first presenter, who is Enric Solsona. Enric works for Prensoland, where he's an area manager, and he's going to share the details of an interesting Hollowcore project with you, providing an example of how Hollowcore can compare to other flooring methods and the benefits it brings to speed of construction. So I will just hand over to you now, Enric. There we are. Take it away. Is your microphone muted, Enric?
Yeah, so good morning. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Enric Solsona, area manager in Prensoland. And I would like to share with you the information received in the case of a company who has sent this inquiry in a very unique way. And instead of talking about carpet area in square meters and sizes, they just said, I want to build G+14 towers. Just a second, please. And I want to do it in a certain time. Now then. And moreover, in addition to the certain time and size, they would like this factory to be removable. Just a second, because now. So they had a G+14 arrangement, 3 towers, and along with this, they had a multi-level car park. The inquiry came in terms of surface and time to finalize the job. They had other building methods, but with a much longer execution time. And the main interest, therefore, was speed. here is important to mention that the initial, I have problems in running the slides. Sorry for that. Now, so the summary of the case just introduced is that the original framing drawings were not showing something to be executed in Hollowcore slabs. We saw the paths for post-tension tendons, and although the total thickness of the slabs was in the range of 150 to 100, the spans with post-tension were short. The framing of the floors was also already showing what we will see now in the next slide, primary beams, but as well secondary. These secondary beams were the reason of having shorter spans. And then on a floor which is rectangular in the range of 70 by 40, we have identified then XY directions, and the difference in thickness of the Hollowcore slabs in one direction and the other is notably different. It is important, as I said, that the customer wants to move the production means elsewhere once the job is finalized. So what we had to do is to propose modular tracks in the range of 9 meters, which are connected between them. The first time you need to fill the tracks with concrete inside, but when you have to remove them, then it goes in pieces inside of containers as the first time. Because we have in Prensoland these removable casting beds designed with multi-stressing abutments, there is no choice for other kinds. I mean, why I say this? Because being a removable factory, a lot of automation wouldn't make sense to us, but multi-stressing had to be there anyway. This is the original drawing we received, and with a red arrow are pointing the what we call the secondary beams. So it is, as I said, in the range of 70 meters in what we call the long side, the x-axis, and on the y it is about 40. And the spans, you will see in another slide, are in the range of 5 when we have the secondaries, and it becomes 10 if the secondary beams are eliminated. Okay, this is the first framing showing Hollowcore slabs instead of the other systems. And the Hollowcore slabs are laid on what we call the x-axis. If we do that, the thickness is still the same, but we have the secondary beams. And with the circle, we are showing what we call the hidden connection. So the other primary beams are easier to install, but these are assembled with hidden connections. So as hidden connection, we understand this. So you need this hardware. In this country, the awareness of precast is still preliminary, and this kind of executions are understood as complicated. Of course, in other countries, this is frequent every day, but in these countries are not. Now, if we eliminate the secondary beams, we have Hollowcore slabs which span 8 to 10 meters. We saw on a previous slide that the requested load, live load, is 500 kilos per square meter. The difficulty here is that these primary beams are supporting a lot of weight. Therefore, the thickness of total thickness of the beam goes higher and this is a little bit against the interest of the customer. The Hollowcore slabs thickness now becomes most of them 250. Here we have 200, and here we have 300 because of the span. So it's a little bit more, but the problem here was the thickness, total thickness of these so-called primary beams. Therefore, there's just another choice, which is lay the Hollowcore slabs in the other direction. The Hollowcore slab thickness here is in the range of 400, and for most of them, the only exemptions are these two bays here. The rest is 400. We have these secondary beams eliminated. We avoid this huge weight on the primary beams. But of course, it's 400. The breakdown of elements with this previous, sorry to jump, with this layout for the towers is something like we have there are 3 types of beams, and in total 152 Hollowcore slabs members for a total length in square meters is 2,800 per floor. Why we say this? For us, what's important before we commit to a certain lead time to execute, that the production of the beams and the production of Hollowcore slabs are balanced. So if we say that one floor has to be completed in 1 week, it looks like it is reasonable in terms of beams because it's just in the range of 5-6 beams per day. And in terms of slabs, we are talking about 30 slabs per day. So we believe it should be possible. The other framing is more difficult. It's the multi-level car park. We see more density of beams and columns. You see the location of the columns, so it is much more density. There are more slabs. The problem is not that the Hollowcore slabs is pity. We are using such short spans. Is that the more elements we have more pickups, more cuts. So in terms of ranging the production so that one floor is executed in a week, we will see when we fall into the breakdown of elements, number of beams is higher than before. Before we had 36. Before we had 152 units of Hollowcore slabs. So it is harder to complete eventually in number of cranes, in number of workers. This is a detail of what we're talking about. So why the customer is worried about the total thickness of the beams. This is a very complicated execution. I'm not saying this is how it has to be. The main problem here is that, as we said, initially, the drawing was not designed in precast, which I think all of us, we had opportunities to discuss this, that the buildings have to be designed from the beginning to be precast. Otherwise, if you look at this beam, it is not like it is stressed, and with this strange shoulder is the people who have to produce that beam on molds, then they need dedicated woods for the top part of the beam. It is not easy at all. So we are talking about 900 millimeters total thickness of that beam with the Hollowcore slabs laid in what it was the final position. So on the X axis and Hollowcore slab 400. So solving the case, the main issue is the depth of the beams. And then we tried to optimize the thickness of the Hollowcore slabs. So how we can optimize this? First, we want to make sure that for a given thickness, we are having the maximum bending moment shear resistance. And I mentioned here a case of a big project near Tel Aviv parking, where two precasters, one was proposing 400, the other one was proposing 320 for the same structural demand. Another point to optimize the total floor is that the drawings, the framing drawings we have presented before, are showing the Hollowcore slabs simply supported. So again, because this country is not very mature in the use of Hollowcores and in precast in general, the designer thought that there are apprehensions and that they would not like, I mean, the customer, see the Hollowcore slabs with open cores and with all these connections on the negatives and that thing. But anyway, the contribution of the negative moment connection is there to reduce the thickness of the Hollowcore. There is another point, which is dedicated slab thickness. With our equipment, we don't have mechanical elements in place, so our mold is static. It's just a nozzle. So nothing is stopping us from, in a big surface, instead of 400, we can produce a mold of 390 or 386 or any dimensions, which can be easily depreciated in just one job. On the cross section of beams, we have seen as well, and we will see in the next slide, in following slides, that there is an important topping on the compression layer. Some of the cross views are showing 200 millimeters toppings. But we discussed this later. Now, if we go through the Hollowcore section optimization, we see that sometimes hollowness does not mean lighter Hollowcore slabs. And here we are sharing with you a case of 400, which is the Hollowcore slab that we are using in this case. But in 4 cores or with 7 cores. And for this particular case, this is something I took from our technical department. We are comparing 432 kilos per square meter against 410. With an important point that if finally we can convince the customers to use pinned or connection or connections with open cores, then the distribution with more cores is better. Another point important in our opinion is that the distribution of the pre-stressed wires is more uniform across the section if you have more theoretical positions to locate these strands or wires. In case of negatives, when we have to fill the cores, we are happy with the fact that the differential retraction of the concrete, meaning the concrete which is added at the connection, is of less influence compared to the case where we have a big cores. As we're talking that we are adapting the Hollowcore in depth, this is just a quick slide to indicate that in width also is very simple. Instead of having these pipes which create the core in our static molds, if you put dividers, and these dividers include the shape of the slabs, you can make fractional width slabs, either just half, or at the limit, you can make just one slab per core, which is in reality, these are purlins which are used in roofs in industrial buildings. Another way to make fractional slabs is that we blind the sides of the mold, meaning that pipe number 1 and pipe number, in this case, 9, would be blind. And then instead of producing 1.2, you're producing a 900 millimeters slab. When we talk about pinned or negative, this is just an image to agree everybody on what we're saying. So this connection, which was we were incurring in very high weight on that primary beam, question would be if the negative moment connection was used, whether the Hollowcore slab thickness would be reduced from 300 to another thickness that would result in beam depth not so big. So the question lies there. Anyway, this was not considered. Considered was in the other direction. And this is an image of the Hollowcore slab at the factory ready. In this case, was opened manually. There are other ways to do it in other machines. The final scheme is showing the basic execution of these Hollowcore slabs ready for pinned or for negative moment connection. If finally we have to open, then we use the plotters to mark the positions on the casting beds after the casting machine, and we can use a machine to hoover the concrete, which must be removed from the Hollowcore slabs to make the negative connections, as well as we have the machine, we take the opportunity to make all the holes for the MEPs as well. That's what I meant before with very thick compression layer. In this case, it's not shown in the transparency, but we know it was a 150, 200. And for these, we have the contribution of the site indenting. You know that this is something which we've been produced for some time already. And basically the thing is, okay, take the friction of a compression layer. That gives you value. And then on the other side, we say, okay, how much we increase the friction on the sides by the fact that the Hollowcore slabs have indenting. To calculate the total friction on the sides, we calculate the friction brought by the fraction of the side which is smooth and the part which is indented. And by using the general friction equation, we know that this additional friction which is created by the indenting, if this friction value was used on the top of the slab, that would equal a certain thickness. So this is how we justify that the additional friction on the Hollowcore slabs is helping to reduce the thickness of the compression layer. Just to recapitulate then, point number one is clear. I think everybody agrees to that. The building should be designed to be built in precast. That in this particular case, eventually, more important, when the carpet area is big, we can intervene in the total floor thickness on the Hollowcore slab design and on the topping of both. As we mentioned, the slab thickness itself, we can optimize the cross-section. We have the possibility to cast on a dedicated thickness. That the optimization of the Hollowcore slabs is affecting as well other members. In this case was particularly the dimension of the beams. And of course, we know that the fractional slabs are advantageous at the factory and at the site. At the factory, because the life of the production team is much easier if you have a mold which can produce fractional slabs instead of cutting the slabs when the concrete is still fresh, or still worse, the situation is where you have to spend time and cutting discs in cutting the Hollowcore slabs when the concrete is dry. That's all from me. How is this?
Thank you very much, Enric. That was thank you for sharing that detail.
So I should wait for the questions eventually.
We're running slightly behind schedule, so I'll skip over the questions. But as I said before we started, I will pass Enric's contact details on via email to all attendees in the IPHA member list. So if you do have any questions for Enric, please, Enric, I'm sure you're happy if people get in touch with you directly as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll just introduce our next presenter. So if you can switch off your webcam as well, please, Enric. So our next presenter is Tero Kautto, and Tero is Global Business Development Manager at Trimble, and he's going to be talking to us. Hi there, Tero. I can see you now. That's great, thank you. So he's going to be talking to you about how modern technologies can offer connected and more efficient workflows to ensure uninterrupted project delivery, higher quality, and increased productivity. So over to you, Tero.
Alrighty, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Karsten, and thank you, IPHA. Alrighty, let me share my screen. Tom, can you just confirm that you can see everything?
I can, Tero, that's fine.
Already, so just minimizing still myself here. Okay. So yeah, so welcome to the webinar on my behalf, and I do hope obviously that this webinar finds you and your businesses in good health, and obviously been a little bit challenging year for all of us, I'm sure. And obviously the pandemic has affected us as well. But I do have to thank some of you IPHA members and obviously many others across the globe that actually have utilized this difficult time to kind of move forward with their plans and taking on building information modeling and also digitalizing the workflows. Yeah, I have pretty much 20 minutes of action-packed presentation, so let's get started. And this is more or less just a teaser to the topic anyways, so please contact me afterwards if you have any questions. Okay, let's see if I can actually get the presentation to work. Okay, so content of the presentation is more or less very briefly about the company, Trimble. Some words about our precast manufacturing customers, as those now help to explain the connected workflows. Some of the new enhancements that we have for the Hollowcore side, and then obviously to the main topic of the presentation, which is the connected workflows, and finally just the advert and reminder that we are about to release TechnoStructures 2021. So starting with the Trimble, and I'm sure everybody knows Trimble on some level. We have been around for quite a long time and actually celebrated 40 years of innovation a couple of years ago. Here are 2019 numbers, and I think the key takeaway here is more or less that Trimble is rather large technology provider, international, and also the big part of the revenue is coming from the building and construction side. And another interesting number is not shown on the previous slide, but basically more than half of the revenue is nowadays coming from the software. So Trimble has actually transformed in itself very much from the hardware provider to the provider of the software, hardware, and integrated processes, which is obviously part of the presentation also today. And this connected workflows is actually affecting all of our businesses and obviously cross-segmentally. So basically, we can take an example that the buildings and geospatial also connect, and we can more or less take information like the layout points from TechnoStructures to the site and position correctly with the Trimble hardware. And then once again back to Tekla model for checking. And same applies for laser scannings. So laser scannings from the side or the point clouds can be taken directly to Tekla model so that it can be verified that the as-built is according to the design. And with that, obviously, you can kind of be absolutely sure that the elements that you are designing and producing also fits nicely on their locations at the site. But on this presentation, I'm actually going to concentrate on the workflow between Tekla structures, Tekla model sharing, and Trimble Connect. But before going to that, as said earlier, a few words about our customers and how they actually help to me to explain also this topic. But we have been actually doing this quite a long time, over 15 years, and today we have customers in over 60 countries. And as you know, Precast varies quite heavily per region, country, and manufacturer. In fact, I believe that all of you are a little bit different, and that's why the solution needs to be also flexible. But here are some examples from the projects that our customers are producing, utilizing Tekla as a design and detailing tool. And when digging deeper into these projects, we can then obviously find different kind of elements which are all fully obviously detailed and graded with the company standards, obviously including the Hollowcore side. Some of our reference customers, and I'm going to add here some of the engineering and consulting companies that also utilize Tekla for the precast design and detailing, as those play part on this presentation as we move forward to the connected workflows part. But before going to that, I'm gonna just showcase a teaser of our latest Hollowcore developments. And we have actually been very honored to work with a couple of IPHA members during the last year to enhance our Hollowcore functionality. And we are also working with a very interesting integration, but I have to come back to you about that when we are ready to release something. But regarding the latest that is already available, here's a small teaser that increases the productivity and includes more people to the workflow. So nowadays you can utilize the IFC models and create your slab areas based on that. And you can convert those to the intelligent Tekla tools and just continue enhancing your design from there, like changing the slab direction, support lengths, and so on. Same applies for the DWGs. So you can utilize DWG as a reference and utilize that to create the slab areas and enhance and fasten the design. And same way for the holes, IFCs and DWGs can be utilized whatever you are utilizing for your hole reservation process. Also, the detailing can be automated, obviously adding standard details, but depending on the slab information, you can add certain details based on parameters on those slabs. Then moving forward with some other tools that are part of this presentation, so erection sequencer and the stacker, and how those are part of the connected workflows and how the information is utilized throughout the process and by the necessary people. So earlier there was the construction sequencer, and this is our new stacker tool that you can create the stacks for your deliveries. And these are all available already now. And then moving forward to the connected workflows, and there's actually two different parts to this. So the first part is utilizing Tekla model sharing while working together in the Tekla native models. And on the other part, it then includes also Trimble Connect, our partners, and basically any other third-party software to complete the workflow and make the data flow between the participants. I will start with the Tekla model sharing. And Tekla model sharing is actually patented technology that we developed for quite a few years. And with Tekla model sharing, you and your team can work together in one shared Tekla structures model. And you can easily build your team by bringing all the necessary people to the same project. And what actually makes it unique is the fact that with each write in or write out, only the changed information is synchronized. And the technology is clever enough to merge the done work by the different users, even if executed on the same element. And on this kind of cases, you are then warned that there might be some conflicts, and you are asked to check and confirm those. There are obviously many use cases for this technology. As mentioned earlier, there are those global subcontracting companies that are utilizing Tekla structures and provide the design and detailing to their customers. And on this case, both parties are obviously able to follow the design and the progress on the Tekla model sharing as they are both getting the models on their premises. The most typical case, however, is the fact that Tekla model sharing is just utilized within the detailing office because of its performance and also these change tracking possibilities. And obviously with this technology, basically all of our customers with Tekla model sharing have been able to work from home exactly the same way as they would work from the office. So there is no need for VPN and no need for huge network bandwidth, as the synchronizing is very light. But there are obviously many other use cases for this, as basically the model can be taken anywhere, wherever the model, the data is needed, where the data needs to be processed, added, extracted to be further utilized. And when it comes to the user rights, there is two possibilities: utilizing the different configurations on Tekla structures side, or utilizing the kind of user rights on the Tekla model sharing side. There's a short video. I had a meeting with my colleagues to create a short video about this, just to kind of showcase you how easy it is and how it more or less works. So Sakari, one of my colleagues here, starts the model, an empty model, utilizing the DWG to create the slab area by just picking the corner points and then moving forward with creating a couple of holes and then adjusting the slabs according to the design. And we thought that we add few Petra corbels, Petra hangers for Topi also. And then whenever he's ready, he just starts the synchronization and invites any people he needs to this project. They can be locally sitting next to him or anywhere in the world. And as he synchronizes the information is passed to the cloud, and then it's available for the other team members. And jumping here to Thorsten's desktop, and he will immediately get invite to the project and see that there is a package that he needs to download. So he gets Sakari's labs on his local copy, and he can confirm and check what Sakari has been doing, and then start working on his part of the process. So he actually creates here one hole to the slab that Sakari was already earlier modeled earlier, and then continues working his own tasks, which could be obviously any other type of structure or any Hollowcores. And once again, when he's ready, he just synchronizes his changes. And this continues obviously throughout the project. But Harry here is a planner that he actually utilizes those erection tools and stacker tools showcased earlier. Now coming back to Sakari's table, and he has been obviously detailing all the time on his labs, and he gets all the packages that the other persons on this project have been doing. And over here you can see that the technology warns that there might be a conflict between his work and Thorsten's work, and Sakari just confirms the change. And whenever they are ready, they can also synchronize or take the Trimble Connect into play so that other persons that are not utilizing Tekla structures can also participate utilizing the models and the information. So that takes me to the next part of the workflow, which is the Trimble Connect. And Trimble Connect is our collaboration tool that connects correct people to the correct data at the correct time. So it is kind of a cloud-based storage, but with huge amount of added functionality. There is a list on the right-hand side of some of the functionalities, and that list is growing all the time. But basically, with Trimble Connect, you can view and combine models. You can do class checking. You can do view drawings and other documents. You can add and process information. And with the API, you can also integrate basically any other tools to the system. With Trimble Connect, it has also different kind of user interfaces. So it can be utilized on the desktop computers, browsers, like for instance on the tablets, and then mobile tools and HoloLenses. They all utilize the same data from the cloud, but the user interfaces are slightly different for the different use cases. This next slide is rather technical, but a kind of presentation of the possible process where information is flowing. So we have the Tekla structures side, and then information is synchronized between the different tools, and that enables different people that are using different kind of tools and different needs to participate on this project. So basically, everybody has a suitable tool with no suitable user interface to the information that they need. And everybody has the access to the necessary information that they need to perform their own task. And also everybody has the possibility to add information for everybody else in the project to utilize. And with the next few slides, I'm gonna concentrate on the workflows between Tekla structures and the Trimble Connect, and then from Trimble Connect also to the other softwares. So when Sakari pressed the button to upload the Trimble Connect on the previous video, so what happens is that everything that is included on the sync is uploaded to the cloud, and non-model related documents can be also automatically synchronized with the sync tool. Trimble Connect has this kind of data table where any type of data can be processed, and on this case we are using a table that consists the name of the elements, the erection order, and the stack number that Harry also added on the previous video. And with this, you can basically sort any type of information you need and also highlight or color those in the model, whatever way you need to process the information. And as said earlier, this is now the browser, so this same workflow can happen on your tablets. Then moving forward, just an example utilizing smartphones on the same process. So the user interface is slightly different because there is no, for instance, that data table option, as smartphones are rather small, but you have the same data available. You can view drawings, you can view or process any of the information that you might have there. And obviously everybody is carrying nowadays a smartphone with them, and there is a huge amount of things that can be done with just while, for instance, erecting the table, erecting the structure. So in this case, we have actually a hybrid option where the model and the drawing information is combined together. So the information of easy to understand information from the model and immediate understanding of the drawing information. You can also link any type of documents, like on this case, the drawings, but it can be any type of document more or less. And as such, with the smartphone, you can also participate on your part on informing everybody else where the project is progressing by adding the statuses as you are erecting the structure. And then as a final thought, it's obviously very nice that you can already utilize the information that is coming from Tekla structures, but that's just kind of part of the story. So with Trimble Connect, we have kind of property sets that can be customized to any need. And you can actually bring the information, for instance, from your ERP to Trimble Connect to visualize and process the information, as well as share it to other folks that don't have access to Tekla structures or to your ERP. And this can be common for all the elements, or it can be specific for different element types. And here's just a kind of example that it could be utilized as a showcase, utilizing the individual element on the model and on the drawing, and for instance, adding some kind of quality assurance information, which once again can be saved on Trimble Connect, extracted to Excel or back to your ERP, depending on the need. So I'm sure I'm up to pretty much used my time already, but I just want to still say that all of this is already available. And what's not available is still the enhancements that we have done for Tekla Structures 2021 and the Trimble Connect at the same time. We actually had yesterday our sneak peek webinars, and the recording is already available from the tekla.com/webinars, and the actual software will be released then on the March 17th. And that's about it. Thank you very much, and hopefully, Tom, I kept the time at least to some extent.
Thanks, Tero. Yeah, we're only slightly over, but don't worry about that. We'll thank you very much. We'll move on to our next one, and as I said before, for Enric, if anybody has any questions for Tero, then please feel free to contact him directly, and I'll make sure to pass on his contact details once we're done today. So yeah, our final presenter today, who I'll just introduce to you now, is Ulrick Staudal, and Ulrick is the key account manager at Combilift, and he's going to talk to you about 4 key aspects of lifting solutions from Combilift, and that's speed, safety, space, and savings, and how they can help you to succeed. So over to you, Ulrick.
Hello there, everybody. Thank you very much to IPHA for arranging this. At least we can meet online and not at our conventions. But to everyone, we miss the conventions because they are more of a social thing than anything I've ever been at. But thank you for the opportunity. Yes, we would like to run through some of the developments that has taken place within our Combilift product portfolio over the years. And since 1998, we have been moving forward in all directions, and in 2018 we inaugurated our new facilities in Ireland, in Monaghan, where we have 46,000 square meters under roof. We have 6 production lines manufacturing forklifts, straddle carriers, load carriers, and so on. Today we have in excess of 57,000 units in operations. We have 346 dealers and service providers across the world. They are spread over 85 countries. We have a headcount of 700 employees today. What I'd like to touch base on is the ethos of Combilift, trying to do more with less, and the specific products that could have an interest within your precast industry, where we've been so lucky to be part of it since 2012. Are the forklifts handling long loads indoor and outdoor. Our newest addition to the portfolio, our load carriers or movers, moving forward in all directions. Our gantry cranes, trying to live up to the ethos of lifting anything, anywhere, at any time. And then, of course, our straddle carriers, where we installed the very first one in 2012, and that unit is still in operation within the concrete industry. Doing more with less, yes, that's the ethos of Combilift. We try to make and manufacture an Irish army knife, not a Swiss army knife, but we really try to increase the utilization of the material handling equipment that we put in. So if we can make one machine does all, that's where the big savings are for you, for us, and for everyone. The very first machine that we delivered was handling slabs, Hollowcore, loading your lorries, taking the full load from the yard, connecting production together with your logistics, handling walls today, panels with side shifting beams, wall racks, A-frames, and the traditional wall racks, which are normally handled by your inloaders. The ability to go in rough terrain, indoor, outdoor, and to manipulate your products has become part of our solutions today. So we've really taken a step forward on that. The lighter footprint is ability to maneuver, ideal for your products. Very narrow aisles, 1.6 meters, attachments made to suit your requirements. All in all, savings all around, because we are connecting your production with your yard, and we are connecting your yard with the trailers coming in, giving you the ability and the stability to drive in rough terrain. So you're not restricted to your crane areas anymore, and we are capable of going in all directions with the equipment that we are supplying. In terms of safety, I know that's a big issue within your industry and within your material handling. And on the safety, our forklifts also make a big difference. Not only are they able to take the long loads down in very narrow aisles, but they are also capable of ensuring that your operators have a fully free line of sight in their driving direction, and they do not have to drive with an elevated load in order to get the visibility. On top of that, our platforms make sure that the load is in and distributed on all wheels, so that makes us very, very agile in rough terrain. We are not putting the strain to the mast while driving. We retract the mast and we put the load onto our load platforms. These trucks are available up to 25 ton. They're starting at about 5 ton, and the capacity max is up to 25 ton. What we claim with our forklifts are that in the UK, for example, many of our clients, they are shipping their Hollowcore out not on flatbed trailers, but they're shipping their Hollowcore into the UK from Ireland and around in the UK on curtain siders. So that's actually an ideal opportunity for you to be handling order picking the individual slabs with the scissors. It's the opportunity of loading it onto standard trailers, curtain siders, where you can load from the side. The solutions that we provide, where we come in, we look at your products, we look at your yards, and then we look at what are the products to be handled, what is the current condition, 200 slabs in the yard, 9 by 1200. They're double handling, and they are using multiple equipment. With all that being said, our site survey then goes in with the effort to increase storage, making it an opportunity for us to do everything with one and the same machine. So in this case, we increased the storage with 100%, we reduced the damage, we eliminated the double handling, and all was done with the Combilift, and in this case, a 14-ton machine. In that case, we connected the Combilift in order to ensure space, speed, and safety, to provide you with the service of being capable of staging your loads and putting them individually onto the different loads, and then a straddle carrier would come and take the complete load once it has been order picked, so that it can go out to your construction site in the sequence that you need to put them up, which is something we've learned over the years from all of you guys. Again, the retracting mast and the platform enables you to operate in very narrow aisle, handling curtain siders, and this product will also be able to handle your rebar coils in less space than you are used to. So we really believe that it's the solutions that make a difference. And together with your knowledge, combining that with our knowledge, we are confident that the portfolio today will be able to increase your space utilization, the speed of handling, and at the same time, even increase your safety. Making sure that we do the solutions, we look at the as-is situation, and then we do a 3D animation where we intend to visualize, of course, the need of the Combilift, not only that, but also to ensure that there's actually a business case in the solution that we're offering. Because the better the business case, the better the value for us as well as for you. Because eventually, if we do good, well, by mouth and through ear, then the marketing doesn't have to work as hard, because if what we bring to your site makes that difference and we have proof of concept, then it's going to create even more value on both sides. These 3D animations are being developed with our logistic team. We have 12 engineers, logistic engineers, who sit and do nothing but this every single day. And we distribute animations, visuals, layouts, and designs for increasing your space and speed and safety. In terms of the Irish manufacturer, manufacturing solutions, just to give you an idea of a solution specific to a client's requirements. Again, our standard forklift, and then with a customized attachment, going down the very narrow aisle, reducing your space requirements, with the load safely inside the stability triangle of our three wheels, and with the ability to go into multi-directional modes, meaning you can use it as a traditional counterweight forklift, but at the same time, you can use it as your side loader, so you're reducing the aisles and increasing your density of storage, all with one and the same machine. And the fact that it can handle multiple products makes the whole difference. A solution with the scissors, where the scissors that we put on in the concept and creating the proof of concept, this was put on one of our 14-ton forklifts, and the scissors are going in and out hydraulically. The Stratum Carrier solutions, you all very well know, this is one of our very first machines going into the concrete industry in 2012. A unit which still today is in operation, where we have moved a wee bit further since we delivered this machine, making customized attachments. We deliver the machines today from 35 ton up to 150 ton capacity in singular mode, but we also deliver solutions where we go in dual mode, tandem drive, in order to avoid very big and very long trusses to carry your long products. We simply take two machines, one at either end, and considering that you have the structural strength and your products will be self-supporting, we no longer need this very long beam to carry your extremely long loads. And with the 3 points of contact on our equipment, we are able to go in rough terrain. With our hydrostatic drive, we have enormous power to move forward. And then again, we are in even narrow aisles, because the aisles using our Stratum carriers are being reduced to a mere 1.6 meters between your products. Solutions, again, we have nice products, but really and truly, our products are worthless, obsolete, of no value, unless we put them into the right way of usage. And the Stratum carrier, the capability of telescoping up and down, means that we are able to go inside your factory, take the full load off the factory floor, and bring it out into your crane area, or better yet, in the area you have available, but you have no crane. That area now can be put into use, and you can increase your storage capacity tremendously without restricting yourself to be operational only within the crane area. So really and truly, we're giving you the freedom to move anything, anywhere, at any time, as opposed of a overhead crane solution where you're restricted within that crane area. And on top of that, you also have to connect your production with the crane area, and building one area, two areas, three areas really provides challenges for many productions that we've been out seeing and working with. The visualization is part of the whole thing. That's part of the cooperation. Those done here are all for free, made free of charge, and you are welcome to make use of that. What we are doing with it is that we are providing proof of concept and making sure that the product that we aim to sell also will add value in your operations. The Straton carrier with the full load handling, loading the trailer, taking it off the production floor into the yard, transporting it between the yards, and then shipping it out whenever you're needed, anywhere in your yard. That means you have less bottlenecks. You'll have the ability to handle your slabs. You'll have the ability to handle your wall frames, A-frames. Literally everything can be dealt with the Straton carrier and the specific attachments which we then design and define together with your operational team. So increasing the speed, increasing the safety, and increasing the storage all together will bring you savings in your operations. And the proof of concept for the different solutions where we come in, well, we combine the knowledge that you have with what we have learned over the last 12 years within the concrete industry. And I have to say, it's one of the best industries to be working with, because you are working together, even though you are competitors. You are working with us in a way which we have yet to see in other industries. So again, this Corona really has reduced the opportunities of going to your conferences, but the solutions are there, and we make our solutions suit your requirements. Little bit tips of the trade, things that we've learned. Many yards that I've been in, we actually end up looking at dunnage lying all over the yard. One of our clients had the question, could you not make your Straton carrier with a grapple arm that would take the dunnage with it? And yeah, that would be great. But the problem is, in your industry, which is one of the harshest industries in the world, and we literally see it as a quality stamp. If our products survive 3 years within a concrete manufacturing plant, they have been approved and they will be able to work anywhere. But the solution for making the dunnage go from the production into the yard and from the yard onto your trailer, rather than making it complicated, we made it simple. So we went out, had a nail gun and the nails and a piece of nylon strap, and we literally shot the nylon strap into your bottom dunnage, brought the strap up between the first and second slab, and then it was squeezed in there. The weight of your load then secured the dunnage, and now the dunnage was following from production into your storage and onto your trailer without operators having to waste time cleaning up the yard, or for that matter, carrying all the dunnage around. Low ground pressure, which is the main reason for our products. We have a very low service weight of our machines. We have an evenly distributed load onto all of our wheels. That means that we can go in much rougher terrain than the traditional forklift. We can go pretty much anywhere in your yards. Obviously, it has to be compacted. But the 3-point of contact also makes it very, very stable, and it enables us to operate literally anything, anywhere, and at any time. The Combilift connection, with some breaking news. I'd like to show you the movie where we now have been in the wind industry for quite a long time, and making the connection between production and your storage yards with our solutions, the load carriers. We are able to go forward in any direction. These machines are working in tandem. That means we are going in your very narrow doors, picking up your loads, no matter the length, if they are self-supporting. And then we combine the connection here with our load carriers, our load movers, and our Straton carriers, where it's only your requirement that sets the standard, not our standard product. So we are handling tunnel segments, lifting innovation. We are handling innovation. So we are driving with long loads, with extremely low ground pressures. And then we are operating these in tandem, meaning that the length of your product is no longer a restriction. Also considering that these load carriers are made multi-directional, so they can go in 6 different drive modes: crab steering, multi-directional, sideways. So the freedom to move anything is there. Our newest addition to the product portfolio is our Combilift mover. This has actually been made in order to facilitate the goalpost solution we've seen in many businesses around the world, where the goalpost solution is used for storage of wall panels, or better yet, your Hollowcore slabs, where we then come in with our Combilift mover or Combilift shunter. We lift the load and then we drive off with the load with a very, very low service weight, no trailer, no terminal tractor, and an extremely small turning circle. So all in all, this machine will save you operational cost, and at the same time, you have less handling, less equipment, so there's less damage to your products. They are capable of lifting 35 ton up to 100 ton, and if we go in tandem, obviously that'll be multiplied by 2. They are remote controlled. They are very flexible as they are being multi-directionals, and they are available in diesel or electrically powered. So connecting your overhead crane areas with the load carriers, or even better, using areas where you don't have crane coverage with our mobile gantries, you will get the freedom to use your full premises as opposed to being restricted to working underneath your crane. And that gives you the ability to load anything and removes the bottleneck that in many cases has been seen on our site surveys and our audits, that there's actually a loading bottleneck underneath the crane area. So literally, again, going in very narrow aisles, going indoor and outdoor through very narrow doors, and then connecting your production with your yard and your yard with your logistics or shipping. The load carrier, we would like to address it as being the connection between your shipping, your production, and your storage and your shipping. The shunter, the load movers, the latest addition for handling the goalpost solutions with an integrated lift, lifting the products 300 millimeters, 500 millimeters off the ground safely, evenly distributed load on all 3 wheels, and the machine is obviously balanced. The machine being a 3-point of contact, the turning circle is reduced to an absolute minimum. Here we have a test of our load carriers with 2 40-ton containers, each 40 feet long, so that's 24 meters apart. These machines are driving in rough terrain, poor conditions, and literally going around corners. Connecting it to your yard, reducing the space requirements and giving you the freedom, again, with a very fast operation using our Combilifts as opposed to the traditional mobile cranes, or in that sense, the overhead crane. Different solutions, single or tandem operations, where instead of having a 40-meter long beam between sitting on a big straddle carrier, we have started using and saying that less can actually be more. And putting the 2 straddle carriers in tandem mode, we have just saved a very long beam to carry the load, and we are able to facilitate your requirements of lifting at either end of the products. The latest one is an elevated cabin in the US, where we are using suction attachments for lifting the slabs. The proof of concept, we've been there since 2012, where the first machines was delivered into our client's site in Sweden, the company Strangbeton. The products are today in Australia, working out in the desert. So we are worldwide with the machines, and we have a very big dealer and service network supporting you. The proof of concept that Combilift works, the narrow aisles, that will all be provided to you through our site surveys, which we also offer as an online site survey. and you can find more about that on our website. And then the different solutions also showing that we actually had a client who had an area here where they were considering putting in an overhead crane. But really and truly, they had just added to the problem of connecting their production with yet another overhead crane area and getting the products from production and into that area. That's where our Straton carrier came in. At the other end, where you have your rebar coming in and rebar coils, our Combilift forklift came in. And the site survey ended up with a full 3D animation of the solutions that the clients required. Just go up here. Sorry. That was actually everything from our side. The material is obviously available. Carsten and Tom will get the material. And then thank you to IPHA for arranging and giving us the opportunity. And I hope we will be able to see you in real life at the seminars, which we literally miss. Because it would be great meeting up with you guys again. I missed Istanbul, Madrid, and those. But once we are up and going, we will definitely be participating at those as well.
Thank you. Sorry, Ulrick. Thank you very much for your presentation. And yeah, I think everybody agrees it would be great to be able to meet up in person soon. Just a quick reminder that I am posting news onto the website, and there are some updates regarding the events later this year which are on the website, so please keep checking there as well. So that's it from me, and I'll just hand over now to Carsten to say some final words.
Thank you very much. I think this was really another very successful and interesting IPHA webinar. Thank you very much to Prensoland and to Trimble and Combilift for your cooperation during the planning process and for your interesting presentations. And of course, thank you to all who joined this webinar. We plan the next webinar to be on the 9th of April. Participating member companies will be Spiral, Sika, and Van der Bleich. We hope that you will all connect again in April. And thank you very much from me, and goodbye from here. Thank you.